or at the end was that when we were when it was Charlie Ward and Peter Ward.
That is way back.
Yeah.
Welcome everybody. We are officially live on here now. We've been talking a little bit among ourselves, but I assure you, no one has been given any tips or anything like that. No one has any special information, some insider track or anything. I am here, first of all, with the panel that I'm calling my Mount Rushmore of Bengals enthusiasts. First, I got my guy, Braden. He is a big-time deal on Instagram currently right now. You're going to have to tell him everything about, even if you got anything outside of that, but Braden is one of the people that kind of got me like looking into like doing more Bengals stuff on throughout with my friends and then getting on to Instagram and everything. But his name on Instagram is Bengals_NFL. Braden, do you have anything that you want to tell the people before we start the mock draft 1.0?
Not really. This is first mock draft. Probably going to be very inaccurate, but getting started, I'm excited.
Okay, sweet. Second, I got my man John Sheeran, who is a big time deal. He's currently with Cincy Jungle. John, what else do you do? And tell people where they can check you out at.
You can find me on Twitter at John_Sheeran.
Show your face.
Oh yeah, I'm still sharing this. Whatever. Let's get out of this.
So this is. So everybody knows that we're going to be on Fame Speak or whatever doing our mock. This is my first time doing it on YouTube, so I'm kind of taking their information as I go along too. But John is always the guru of everything. He's probably like one of the smartest people I've ever met. But go ahead.
Wow. Yeah, I'm the assistant editor at Cincy Jungle. I've been doing that for the past year. I also do their podcast, or I'm the co-host of their podcast, the Orange and Black Insider. We do that Wednesday nights. And yeah, you can find me on Twitter. You can also find me on Instagram. I'm not as active as Braden. My content is also a lot less of quality, and I don't do anything with the Bengals on Instagram, but you can follow me there if you want. But yeah, that's about it for me.
All right, cool. And then the fourth member, if you don't count myself, I mean, if you do count myself, is my man Ace Boogie. He's with New Stripe City. I'm sorry about that. Tell them everything that they need to know and where they can find you, and what do they need to know about.
Definitely. I'm kind of like John when it comes to Twitter and Instagram. In terms of my content is not really on there. Most of it is like posting stuff, but every now and then I jump on and talk to Who Dey Nation. But I represent New Stripe City, YouTube channel for diehard Bengals fans. Definitely been doing that for about 3 years now. Had a website at one point, but right now it's just mainly YouTube content. And yeah, man, appreciate you for having me here. Definitely respect everybody on this panel, from John to Zim to our guy Bengals_NFL. So I'm ready to see what we got going tonight.
Sweet. We got some people. I'm looking at it right now. I'm gonna be checking it out on my phone too. So if anybody, because I was looking on the group chat part, it doesn't show me. Like I said, I'm super new to this. I can see the people in here watching, but if anybody's got any questions or any comments that they want to say throughout this whole thing, please don't hesitate to do it. Drop it on there. Let us know what you're thinking, and I'm gonna try to answer some of that stuff if I can, and we can get this thing started. This is the mock draft Zim 1.0, so that lets you know we're gonna have some others. I don't know what we'll do next time. I don't know if it'll be the same panel. That's why I'm very appreciative for these guys to check us out tonight.
Yeah, so, hey Zim, are we having like a fake clock? Are you putting ourselves on a timer for this?
No. But I'm gonna go with my gut and my feeling, right? I don't think we're gonna have that problem. If somebody's going over their time, let's say you got let's go 2.5 minutes or somewhere around there, 2 to 3 minutes, right?
Because this is a 4-person war, and this is exactly what the Bengals are. So,
all right. Look. If anybody starts to go over that time frame, I'm gonna absolutely like find a buzzer or something that like I don't think it's that serious where anybody's gonna go like that. But let's see.
All right.
If anything, you know what's so funny? The person that will go over will be me.
So I guess Goodell's on the stage. Everyone's booing him, and let's start it up.
All right. So here goes.
Picks are flying off the board.
Bosa's gone. Josh Allen's gone. Jonah Williams. I seen the mocks.
Quentin Williams is gone. We got some trades we can accept, or we're just gonna.
Let me see that. Hold on. Let me see that.
Oh, yeah, that looked kind of.
That was completely unrealistic as hell. That's like 4 picks.
Everybody watching this, I prefaced the whole thing. I said, "Hey, look, guys, before we do this, we're going to just do this straight up."
Yeah.
So we're going to see how this goes because we get crazy, it's going to get real crazy. But every single mock that I've seen so far kind of looks like this every time that we go to pick.
Yeah.
Like every single time. Now, there's a couple people that are not listed. If people are paying attention at home, there's a couple people that are not listed that could potentially, there's 2 people that I could potentially see. Hold up. Okay, no. All right, no, never mind. It's one person that I have seen mock go a little bit higher.
Yeah, definitely.
It's actually about 2 or 3. All right, but this is really crazy to me. We're gonna do this. What are we gonna do? This like a snake or something? I don't know. But I'm gonna let Braden go first, right? But I do have I want to have some comments and stuff first. If this were a situation that really happened, if the board looked like this, and Quentin Williams was drafted right before our pick, arguably the best defensive tackle on considered by a lot of enthusiasts. One of the best in a super rare talent. That would be very disheartening, and I would have to think by pick 7, 8, 9, the Bengals' real war room would try to do something if he were still there. I could be wrong. But Brady, you're on the clock.
All right. Well, I know a lot of people like Devin White, but I like Ed Oliver. To me, he's a top 5 talent in this draft, and I'm all about Devin White, but I'm drafting players, not position. Nothing wrong with Devin White, but Oliver, he's going to come in here. He's going to immediately make our defensive line top 5, maybe even top 3. The dude is a beast. He's been double teamed, triple teamed at times. He gets penetration like it's nothing. He's a very smart player. The media gives him a lot of bad rep, but no linebacker is going to come into our defense and fix our run issues like Ed Oliver can. To me, he's best player available, and honestly, other than quarterback, probably the best case scenario for the Bengals.
Okay, cool. All right, and so Ed Oliver's there. Anybody I just want to get your opinion on this. Anybody outside of Ed Oliver, if you didn't pick right there, is there anybody that caught your eye that you were maybe on the fence about?
Devin White, absolutely, just because linebacker and athleticism we need. Also, Greedy Williams is somebody who I really like. I think Fitz would go really well with William Jackson. Obviously, the future Drake Kirkpatrick's a little in the air. I see Greedy as a future lockdown. Fits really good in a cover 2-man press. Could also fit in cover 1 robber. Ultimately, man coverage. He shut down somebody who would go really well with William Jackson. I like Greedy a lot too.
Okay, cool. With that said, now John actually is his face is actually here too. Believe me, people. But something happened with my screen, so he is doing the fan speak currently right now. So John, with the board, what it is right now, what are you feeling about that? Who is the number 11 pick for you?
Me and Braden would get along a lot because Ed Oliver is probably at the top of my board here as well. I think the issues with Oliver are a little exaggerated at this point. People are harping on he's going to measure in like below 280 for sure, maybe even below 275 of the combine. I don't think it's going to matter that much. At Aaron Donald, the best NFL player period in the game right now, he played this year at 265. And you can see that in today's day and age, when you have wide splits with your front 4, when you have 4 down linemen, your 3 techniques are basically they're essentially edge players at this point because they're having wide splits with offensive tackles taking wide sets, and you basically have your 3 techniques on a little edge of their own. Ed Oliver can do anything you want as a pass rusher. He can bend, he can win with power. He can win with hands. He's a dominant player. He had dominant production his sophomore year. He kind of fell off a little bit last year. Injuries are accounted for that. Overall, how they used him was a little bit different as well. But he's got the all-pro production. He's going to test like the best athlete you could possibly imagine at the position, besides Aaron Donald just 5 years ago. And just looking at what the Bengals have right now, they've lacked for so many years a true complement to Geno Atkins inside at pass rusher there as like the complementary 3 technique next to him. They tried defense. They tried to move defensive ends inside on third down. They've tried guys like Brandon Thompson, Devin Still, Marcus Hardison. All have just failed miserably. I think this is a position that you can never really go wrong with. Obviously when you like having 3 competent pass rushers or maybe even 4 on third down and just in your nickel sets is so important in today's day and age. He's the best overall player on the board. He fits a tremendous need that they probably won't address in free agency. I would go Ed Oliver here as well.
Mm-hmm. All right. So John, with the slam dunk on Ed Oliver. Anybody before I take it over to Ace, is there anyone besides that kind of caught your eye, John? Before you, I know it was like I could tell like you were all in on Ed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like just look at positional value, like cornerback and edge probably stick out here as well. Like you have to assume Devin White's probably going to be here. He's always going to be an option. But looking at Polite and Burns, edge rushers from Florida and Florida State, looking at my personal favorite cornerback, no offense to Greedy Williams, but I think Byron Murphy is probably more of what the Bengals need because they have Darqueze Dennard becoming a free agent. They might not bring him back based off what they could pay him. I think Murphy could fill in tremendously in that nickel cornerback slot. And I think edge is also an underrated need for the Bengals as well because Carl Lawson's coming off that ACL injury. All they have besides Dunlap really for the future going forward is Hubbard. We haven't seen anything from Willis yet, and they're probably going to lose a defensive end Michael Johnson for agency. So either Polite or Burns I think would fit well here as well. And then maybe even depending on what they do at the tight end position in free agency, TJ Hawkinson. He's, I think, clearly the best tight end prospect in this class. He also has everything that you look for. So there's a lot of good options here, and some of those guys stuck out, but I think still Oliver's probably above all of them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So we got that. Hawkinson. It's so crazy you said Hawkinson. I hear a lot of Hawkinson that faint. All right, but and it's like a battle everybody I listen to, they just go back and forth with Hawkinson. Right. Okay. All right. So Ace, now you're on the clock. You had a good amount of time beforehand. John and Braden both went with Ed Oliver. Who you got?
I think we're all aligned. Ed Oliver, I think is like you're talking about a top 5 prospect that's going to be there at 11. And I've always been a fan of sometimes going with the best player available, even if it might not be an immediate need. But honestly, I feel like defensive line is an underrated need. Obviously, we had some issues in the run game. That's tied to linebackers, but that's also tied to interior defensive linemen. And I think if you compare a guy like Ed Oliver with Geno Atkins, it's a no-brainer. You got Devin White there. You definitely want to think about Devin White. But you look at some of the other linebackers that could possibly be there in the later rounds. And if you have a guy like Ed Oliver, you have to take the best possible available player. Outside of that, depending on what we do in free agency, I'm not really big on this Cody Ford guy. I've seen him mocked to us a lot. Honestly, would probably even take a look at Jawan Taylor. But honestly, if I was going for Jawan Taylor, I would probably try to move back and try to acquire like some other picks, move from 11 and move down a couple of spots and get him. But if Ed Oliver is on the board like he is right now, it's a no-brainer. You got to take Ed.
Okay. Well, I wanted somebody to go back and forth, but I don't think we're gonna get that. Now, if we have enough time now, I'm absolutely on my second choice going around. I might have a different thing I might swirl in there, but yeah, it'd be hard for me to go against Ed Oliver because at the very beginning of this, without watching college football, I kept on hearing Devin White throughout all of our fans and everybody like that just said Devin White. And then I got there and I'm watching it and I'm like, yeah, the athleticism is there. And a lot of times though, it kind of reminded me of watching a lot of games this past year with Evans from that's currently on our roster right now. It's like this combination of sometimes like trying to take that athleticism and translate it into coverage and stuff like that without thinking. And a lot of times when I watch a lot of just highlights and clips from Devin White, when they're trying to show you his weaknesses, other than the fact, like when they're trying to show you like the downside of him or whatever, it's sometimes he just doesn't have that instinctive thing that separates the elite linebackers from just linebackers that fit the bill. I'm pretty sure he's going to look really, really good at the combine and everything like that. But I mean, on tape, Ed Oliver's a slam dunk at number 11 to me. Everyone always kills me. They say, Zim, you're always talking about offense. But the reason why I always talk about offense is because I feel like the pieces that are there are solid enough that you're almost drafting a depth at a lot of these spots. This right here is a day one plug and play guy that can absolutely be paired up with Geno. Billings, although he graded very well in the run and everything like that, he's not 3 downs. So at some point we got to figure out like what's the next plan. What was the coach? What did Grantham say? Like, or they rumored that he said that he was worried about the roster, the age of these guys, and even outside of like Cincinnati Bengals fans, whatever, people I think respect Geno. But then when you start talking about 30 years old and you start talking about that with Dunlap and stuff like that, this new transition into New Day, whatever, has to happen at some point. We can't just rely on our stars for like a decade till they get ran into the ground. You got to put talent next to them. And we used up a lot of their best years absolutely doing nothing. Ed Oliver was signal to me that they're currently trying to put some help with him, not put all the, you know what I'm saying? As we got halfway through the season last year, the double teams on Geno, the different things that they were doing towards Geno, whatever, he's still getting his pressures and everything like that. But I think if you paired him up next to someone elite or whatever, those are going to translate to sacks. Those are going to translate to deflected arm, you know, like all these different things like that. I had wrote up some notes that I had on Ed Oliver, though. I said that he was the height on him, whatever, is short. Earlier on, like in his not this year, but the year before, I felt on a lot of different plays that I watched, he was kind of getting ran over a little bit. And he lacks strength. It's really hard to criticize him. I'm just trying to critique him and just like these are the knocks on Ed Oliver.
Not anything against you, Zan, but can we please get rid of the narrative that undersized defensive tackles aren't productive in the NFL? Like Aaron Donald is the best D tackle in the NFL, followed by Geno. Like
he played at 260 this year. He played 260 pounds.
Right. I saw like an Instagram post with like Aaron Donald sitting next to their running back, and the running back looked bigger than him. The running back looked bigger than him.
This whole thing,
you can't block what you can't touch.
The same thing goes with quarterbacks as well, too, where we've got all these quarterbacks that are elite or all these quarterbacks that are doing well, and they aren't these Jamarcus Russell looking 6'4", 6'5" guys. And they're using these arm angles to have success in the NFL. But yet the narrative, every time I mention, this is the first time we mentioned on the night, Kyler Murray. Every time I mention he's too short. And I feel like it's the same thing. Like what you're just saying with the Ed Oliver thing. It's like he's too short, but we're watching all of these players use their lower body strength, using a lot of different elements of, you know, like to gain leverage in all of these different situations and have success. But for whatever reason, people just think because they're millionaires that they have to be built like juggernauts, I guess. I don't know. But these guys are winning, and they're winning often. Ed Oliver is going to be the consensus pick round 1.
Okay.
Draft. So we're going to draft that. So Ed Oliver, first round. Got guys coming off the board. So Fant is off the board now.
Devin White to the Vikings. Zim gets Devin White. That would be nasty.
The other Zim gets Devin White. Yeah, that's a nasty defense.
It's actually Drew Lock to the Patriots.
Drew Lock to the Patriots. Wow.
Oh yeah, hey, look. Oh, but hey, you know, I just saw Reisner off the board. All right,
but so here's some, I guess, hypothetical trade proposals. Taylor's former team. Zimmer wants to give us a couple picks. I would consider these, and this is like it's somewhat similar to what they did last year when they moved back to get Bates, and then they eventually moved up to get Jefferson.
Hey, on the compensatory picks, do we have three
in the sixth round? Yeah.
Okay, all right, because the illustration that they keep on showing only shows 2, but then they report having 11 picks. So if anyone's watching this, just know that the Bengals have 11 picks. So
yes,
and whatever or anything like that.
They have another 6th round pick from the Benny Benwickery trade, which I'm sure a lot of people remember. All right, so this is how first round went. Steelers actually drafted a good cornerback. That's unrealistic.
Yeah, that's not realistic.
I would not want to face DK Metcalf with Lamar Jackson throwing to him. That'd be insane.
All right, so I want to, before we make this next pick, I want to go through a couple of comments on here too. Who they fan? John, you look stoned as fuck. Hell yeah. I guess that helps you make better picks, John, because you're stoned or something, or you look stoned. I'm sorry.
Looks are not so deceiving sometimes.
He broke the rules for you. Somebody said we broke the rules because we should have did the draft on draftnetwork.com. I've never done it on Draft Network, so I don't know.
I've never tried that before either.
A guy named Jared Airvian. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. I want to get your guys' opinion on this. If Kyler was available, would you take him? That was one of the questions that I missed.
But if Kyler was, so let's swap out Ed Oliver for Kyler Murray and look at it from that situation. If Kyler Murray is there, now this is what I would do. This isn't what the Bengals would do, right?
Right. Yeah.
If it were me, I would take Kyler Murray because you're in a situation where you have Andy Dalton. You could essentially do the same thing that the Kansas City Chiefs did with Mahomes with starting Dalton and sitting him for 1 year, even though I think Kyler Murray could play right away. But I would definitely do that, and I would look at your options because you still have Dalton for another year. He could be trade bait potentially, but it kind of depends on which direction you're going. But if it was me calling the shots, I'm taking Kyler Murray because there's no way in hell, even if Andy Dalton has a good year, there's no way in hell I'm paying him $30 million a year. His contract.
And the Bengals aren't either.
No, they won't.
So that's the number one thing that I always tell when I bring up the Kyler Murray thing, or if I bring up any quarterback type of deal. Even the biggest dog fan has to understand that he's proven time and time after again, whether you like him or not, that he needs other people around him. So with that said, he's not worth the $30 million. I think even the biggest Dalton fan would agree on that. So I don't see how you could just go this long and just wait till shit hits the fan is what I would say. And then people talk about energizing the fan base and getting people in stands. You want to see some jersey sales or something like that? Draft them. I mean, I hate to sound like super stereotypical or whatever. I think because he's smaller, it kind of gives us that just the aesthetics of it to the person that doesn't even watch football. Like my mom would be like, "Look at that little guy out there running." Like, you know what I'm saying? And then I think when they see him play and they see the arm strength and how far he's throwing a damn ball down, that's one thing that I watch. Haskins, if he were available or something like that, I will be all on board for that too. But for the little bit of film that I watch or whatever, there's a lot of meat on the bone. And I don't know if that's a coach thing or whatever, but it's a lot of times where he wasn't pulling the trigger, and Kyler Murray absolutely was. I'm sorry to cut into that, but
no.
I think everybody knows where I would be at. Kyler Murray represents more than just a quarterback to me. Is the transition into this new day thing. It's also a resurgence of the fan base, which is very important to me because I want as many of us out there cheering. I want the stadium lit. I want that to be part of this whole thing as possible too. And as good as Ed Oliver is, as good as Devin White is, whatever, that's not putting more people in the stands. And then also you got to be able to prepare yourself for the future. And if we keep on going all these years and they're just waiting for that day for Dalton to take this elite step, I just don't get that. And you got to have a plan in place because even if he were to get hurt again or anything, we've already just seen what Driscoll gave you. So say you were in playoff contention or something like that. You're essentially saying, yeah, this season is a wash if you don't have something ready. but I was a little long on that. I'm just a little passionate about that part because Kyler Murray absolutely.
I couldn't tell, Zim.
You couldn't. I know.
All right. Some more trade possibilities, I guess. Let's go ahead and do that. All right. So, best available players.
Braden, what do you feel about the quarter? If Kyler was on the board, would you have gone with A. Oliver?
I'm taking Kyler all day for a couple
Really?
reasons. Oh yeah, I'm all for Kyler. Something I don't want to reiterate what you guys said, but something else that I think it was Joe Goodberry said that a lot of teams are trading up for quarterbacks, and if he's there at 11, then you're avoiding having to give up a lot of draft capital and stuff for the future, and you can get your guy right there. Like you saw the Chiefs, they gave up a first round for that year's draft, and the year after, the Texans with Deshaun Watson, they gave up future first round picks. So if Kyler Murray's there, not only are you getting your guy, you're also saving a lot of draft capital. So I'm all for Kyler Murray.
Absolutely. Okay. And John, you on the Kyler Murray train, or are you on the?
If Kyler Murray had 2 years of starting experience, I would take him first overall. But there's only been Cam Newton and Mitchell Trubisky who ended up going in the first round and being semi-successful quarterbacks with 1 year of starting experience. And that's my one concern with Haskins as well. I think Murray is a better thrower of the football than Haskins is. I think there's a lot more to like about Murray than Haskins in general. He's probably my QB1 at this moment. And my only concern is that lack of historical precedent of 1 year starters in college. That's my one drawback with it. But I do think that when you're in a division with Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson, the Steelers still have Ben Roethlisberger at this point. You have the worst quarterback situation by far in the division, and the division is still kind of ripe for the taking because there's not one clear favorite. I think Murray gives you a chance to somewhat do that in a new regime. I would definitely consider it extremely hard. And if it came out between Ed Oliver and Kyler, I might go Kyler in that situation. I'm just a little more hesitant than I guess a lot of you guys.
I'm not hesitating at all. If I've got bullets, I'm pulling that trigger.
But John does make a good point. Like that's like the only red flag that I also see with him as well is just the 1 year starting, as a quarterback. But I mean, in that 1 year, he won the Heisman. So
yeah, it was a great year.
Right.
Same with Cam Newton.
Okay. All right. So if we're doing this snake style, whatever, I guess it's on me, right?
Yeah.
I hate to just one question that came on there. The guy Jared, B Mess, a couple people said trade up for Matt Wilson.
Oh,
now
if we did that, it would be very smart.
Hell no.
I don't know about
He's right here.
So he's right here, and there's a couple people that's on here that just said, "Oh shit, Matt Wilson's still on the board." And part of me wants to be like go against the grain right here, but the biggest need for me absolutely is linebacker, right? Because you still have this decide. There are people inside of Bengals building right now that feel like Vigil might not be, like what I think he is. I think Vigil's when he's healthy, they got him at Sam, they got him, he's all over the board and he plays 99% of the snaps when he's healthy. You just don't really have anybody there. Now, the value of Matt Wilson right here is unbelievable. And Devin Bush.
Side comment. Just remember at one point they tried to call Nick Vigil the new Luke Kuechly.
Who did that?
Montez actually was calling him Luke, but it was like this whole thing on Bengals.com where they were calling him like the new Luke Kuechly.
Was that after one of his concussions? Hopefully,
probably.
Yeah. I'm about to say that was when Luke probably had his concussion and that's insane. I hate how you ever see a player or something like that. Like say we see a white wide receiver right here, right? And he looks like Edelman or something like that. He doesn't. You know what the craziest thing about it is? If you go watch, this is what's the wide receiver that I really, really like? Thielen. You know who Adam Thielen is? Ocho Cinco. But the average fan, because his feet are it's like Ocho Cinco all the way. I don't know. But it's this tendency, if we see a black quarterback, oh my God, he's gonna run. If we see a little white guy, whatever, right here with long hair, whatever, oh man, that's the next Edelman or whatever. And it's crazy to me that people like you were just talking about that visual thing. I'm just like, no, he's nothing like he'll never be that. And I think somebody just saw his hair and the way he's built and said, "Yeah, that's Luke." What I was gonna say. So I'm going really chalk right here, I guess, but I'm gonna go Matt Wilson. I do want to write that. I did have a couple things. I was really because I had some notes that I wrote down because I thought he might be on the board. I was kind of a lot of games he was doing the same thing that we were killing Burke for, is that he was overshooting gaps a lot. So he has to tone down it's almost like how running backs make that jump into college, into the NFL. They have a tendency of not being patient to get into their gaps or wait for the block or anything like that. So a lot of different plays I saw Matt Wilson's trying to go above and beyond. I was also he didn't develop that much from his sophomore to his junior year or whatever. So those were a couple of different things that I saw that it wasn't like when I watched a prospect from sophomore to junior year or whatever, I want to see like night and day, and it wasn't like that because I feel like then when we get to the league, this guy's still progressing. So those are a couple of things that I just wrote down quick on Matt Wilson. But if he were on the board for me, I have to take him there just because the need at linebacker is so great. Like you don't really have anything. Vinny Bray got $3.5 million this past year just to play special teams. I think you could let him go because you drafted all these guys that can essentially play special teams. Now, if he wants to come back for the league minimum at 1.5 or whatever that is, I might be on board. And even that's a tough sell for me. You got Evans that, just like I was talking about earlier, it just never made that transition into this instinctiveness that he's our most athletic linebacker, but for whatever reason, it hasn't translated on the field. Hardy Nickerson, who they really, really like, as far as like getting people in place.
Trash.
But on a play-by-play basis is an absolute crapshoot. Every single play is a complete wild card. And it makes the need for a glaring need at linebacker bigger than what I would argue everyone felt we had from the offensive line last year. This is absolutely the biggest need that I've seen from the Bengals need in a very, very long time. And the crazy thing about it is it's the exact same thing that I said we needed the last offseason when we had no linebackers and covers. Teams are absolutely destroying us over the middle. And if you go watch the Bengals defensive game plan, I think they were just so set on we're going to leave the middle of the field open and we're not going to let anybody beat us deep. And they did it all year. When Marvin Lewis took whatever that temporary role he had with the defense or whatever, he then said, okay, we're going to play a little bit more man and make the assignment simpler. But they still left the middle of the field wide open, and they still got exploited every week, whether it was tackling or in coverage. Matt Wilson, if it wasn't Matt Wilson, I would have picked any linebacker at this point. That's the guy for me.
All right.
Ace, who you got? You're next.
This was what I was hoping for. This is the exact scenario that I hoped for with going for Ed Oliver in round one. This is why I didn't pick Devin White because I felt like depending on how the chips fell, that either Mac Wilson or the linebacker from Michigan, Devin Bush, would be there. So I did some research early on and I watched like some film. And to me, Devin Bush isn't what we're looking for, right? I feel like we're looking for a linebacker that is good in coverage. Honestly, I feel like we've been looking for a linebacker since Emmanuel Lamore was on the roster, to be honest with you.
I looked on the free agency list for linebackers earlier today. Emmanuel Lamore is there. Well, go ahead.
Yeah, and honestly, it's been so long that we are now, instead of trying to pair a linebacker with Tez, we're almost trying to replace Tez. So to me, I think it's Mac Wilson. I think, like you said, there are some negatives. Like he didn't really have much increase in production from his sophomore year to his junior year. But I think the thing that stuck out to me when I watched him on film was the obvious ball skills. I think he may even possibly rival Devin White in that area. But I think it's not even close with him and Devin Bush. Devin Bush, to me, looks like he's more of a run stopper, kind of pass rusher guy. I saw absolutely no plays with him in coverage. And just how we've been killed through the run game and the pass game, I feel like you got to take Mac Wilson. I mean, obviously, I was really big on Reuben Foster. His career has been more so attributed to negative experience because of off the field stuff. But this guy is just what I kind of look for, a guy that can make plays, a guy that's like 233 pounds, that's a new age linebacker, so he's not like a Ray Maluga where his feet are in the sand. I think you got to take Mac Wilson, especially coming off of the first round pick that I had.
All right, cool. We got Mac. All right, John.
Yeah, this is there's way too much consensus here. I'm gonna deviate from the norm.
Let's go. Give it to me.
This is my guy right here, Garrett Bradbury, the center from North Carolina State.
I heard you. I saw a lot of your write-ups from him from the Senior Bowl. Tell us about him.
For a couple reasons. Zim, I was on your podcast last year, and I raved to you about James Daniels, the center out of Iowa, and I liked him so much because he could make reach blocks that nobody else in that draft class could. And when you're talking about bringing Zach Taylor to the Bengals, potentially implementing the Rams offense, if you want to run wide zone 100% of the time during the game, your tackles and your center need to be able to be effective zone blockers. I don't think Billy Price is that guy to do it in this scheme. I think he would be best if we moved him to guard, moved into right guard where he was more successful at Ohio State. But then you need a center who can end up making those blocks. And I think Trey Hopkins did a great job with that last year when he played for when Billy Price was hurt. And if you put Hopkins there, I think that would be okay too. But I think Bradbury brings a level of athleticism and just a level of just the ability to make those reach blocks that Price can't. And if they want that offense to go with the pieces that they have, they still need, I think, a legitimate zone blocking center and obviously a right tackle and hopefully even the free agency or early in the draft. But like I like Mac Wilson as a prospect. I like both Devin Bush as well. My thing with Alabama guys is that I typically stay away from guys who didn't produce there. And the reason why I love Quentin Williams so much and why I believe that he's worth the hype is that he only really started for 1 year, but he produced at an all-pro level, and Mac Wilson never quite achieved that production there. I like what he brings in coverage. I like what he brings as a downhill run defender. But I think the value for me personally fits with Bradbury for what they need. And I also think that looking at the linebacker class in general, I think there are some guys that can be found in the third or fourth round. And Bengals fans can rightly be disappointed with that because that's mainly where they've addressed the position. But I believe it's more of a type of what they're looking for rather than where they invest that position in the draft. But I do believe that the best centers are typically found at the top. I'm not even sure Bradbury will end up lasting this long when the actual draft comes. So if he's here, for me personally, I'm definitely taking the hardest look at him if he's available.
Cool. All right, now Braden, it's on you, bro. What you got?
All right. I really came in here not wanting to take an offensive tackle, but I look at Kajusti, or however you say his name. A lot of Bengals draft Twitter's low on him, and we're still without a right tackle. We can't have Bobby Hart in there. I'm taking him, and I'm really tempted to Mac Wilson, but for me, the value's not there. I don't see him as a 3-down linebacker. He plays so passive, and you can't trust him to maintain the middle. If a run's coming up his way, he's going to let the blocker come to him, and he's getting washed out. He has the coverage skills that I really like, and with Ed Oliver, that made it really intriguing. But there's linebackers, like John said, in round 3 that I absolutely love. So for that, I'm going to take my personal favorite offensive lineman on the board, and that's Kajuste. And he has some injury history, so how his medical's at the combine, but really good in pass pro, really tough. He does have some mental lapse, but he's going to come in here. He's not going to be this great offensive tackle, but he's going to be an immediate upgrade over right tackle, and I think that would solidify our offensive line.
All right. And what do you feel? All right, so let's say you went with Kajuste. Give me your starting 5 currently right now on the Bengals offensive line.
Left tackle, Cordy Glenn, left guard, Bowling. Center, probably Price. Right guard, I'm giving to Westerman. I think he's more than capable. I really hope if we don't draft the center, Westerman gets the fair shot at right guard. From what I've heard, Marvin hated Westerman, loved Redmond. That's why he never got the shot. And I also heard Pollock was kind of vouching for Westerman to start, but at the end of the day, it was Marvin's decision. Then Kajuste would come here and assuming starting right tackle.
Yeah, you know what's so crazy? Little birdie named Westerman, I've actually had contact with, and he's like couldn't believe a lot of stuff. So yeah, we'll see. I think the only thing in that scenario that I just hate that like I really want Hopkins, like like I don't know, like I really want him. So all right, so we've got 2 for Matt, 1 for Kajuse, and 1 for Bradbury. I don't know how you want to do this.
Let's go with the majority then.
Majority.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go super chalky because I think you know what's so crazy though? I think if Mac Wilson was on the board, they wouldn't even draft him. But let's just go with Mac though. The only reason I say that is because it's always some Alabama guys that are sitting right there and they never go with those guys.
They also always come into the league hurt.
Patrick.
Seems like they always come in hurt. I don't know what it is. I don't know what Nick Saban is doing down there.
Let's just get John. Let's go Mac Wilson.
All right.
One of the questions was from Beast Gaming 22 is who we think we should go in free agency. I was going to do at the end. One thing that I also was going to say is because I haven't done enough research and I haven't done enough time into it. That's why I said this mock is going to go to the 4th round. Both John and Braden both just let us know there are a bunch of linebackers in the 3rd they like just as much. And the reason why I said I like Mac Wilson more so in that 2nd solely was because a lot of people had a mock at the end of the 1st. So they're telling me that you could wipe that clean. So with that said, if I go and look into it a little bit more, I probably wouldn't even go Mac Wilson. But one thing that I want to talk about after this, if we have enough time, because we're kind of on the clock a little bit, but I wanted to just go into like who you guys are looking at in free agency. And some of my picks are based on free agency. One thing that I do like about Kajuste Braden is the fact that there are no cheap right tackles in the league, period. So, I mean, you got to spend at least 9. I mean, Chris Hubbard was a guard that went for like 11 last year. Like even guards are like higher now. So that's the one intriguing thing like that. I'm so scared of prospects on the offensive line with the Bengals, though. Like, I'm telling you, man, like, I've been looking at free agent linemen because I just don't trust them in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
I hope the Bengals signed a lineman in free agency. If they want to approach this win now, they signed a right tackle in free agency. And I'm hoping they do that because I know Zach Taylor's not Sean McVay, but when Sean McVay came to LA, he signed Whitworth. So I'm hoping Taylor goes with a veteran offensive tackle and get Mike Brown to open up his wallet.
That's exactly what I want too. Like, I don't ask for much for the Bengals. Like, I don't expect them to like go out and sign, the number 1 player in free agency and spend a bunch of money.
I never want that. I never want it. That guy's always overpriced. I never want it.
If you can just give me Jawan James, I'm good with it.
Yes.
Like, if you can just give me Jawan James, that's all I need. I don't need anything else. Just give me Jawan James.
So people feel like the ties. Now I put out a little small article on my story the other day on Instagram, where I was saying Jawan James, the connection they were trying to tie there was Zach Taylor and all the Dolphins guys. If you guys are late to this or whatever, I'm here with Ace Boogie from New Stripe City. I'm also here with John _Sheeran on Twitter. He also works for Cincy Jungle, but he's actually my go-to on Twitter. And Brady, who is Bengals _NFL on Instagram. But that's a big deal. Like, but if you could afford James between that 9 and 11 million, like, oh my God, I'm so sick of prospects. All right, let's go to round 3. This is where it's dicey, guys, because now we start to go into who's done their homework. And I just saw Will Grier. Now, a lot of people have been throwing out that name because Will Grier absolutely, when you watch some of his plays or whatever, now this is Bengal style, going to go into the 2nd, 3rd round like they did for Dalton to find his replacement. Will Grier, I just saw come off the board, is a guy I kind of had my eye on. If he was still around like 3rd round, which I think he might be, on in this film, he makes a lot of crazy plays that are sort of like Baker-ish, but he doesn't have the arm of Baker. But now, John, when you were at the Senior Bowl, was Will Greer?
He was there. He was there.
Now, like in the practice, didn't he have like the highest velocity or something like that? I read one time.
Yeah, that was. I don't trust that so much because it was kind of what we saw with Mayfield last year. Well, there was concerns with Baker when he was at the Senior Bowl about he might measure a little slow on the gun when you go to the combine, and Baker ended up slinging the ball everywhere. And that's also what Josh Allen did a lot of times too, and ended up impacting his accuracy a little bit negatively. But yeah, the main issue with Greer was that the teams didn't feel like he could make those far hash throws towards the opposite sideline, and just lack of overall arm velocity. So he came out ripping like the first day, and it was really windy too. So like when he was trying to get those long touch throws, balls ended up going out of bounds. And when he was trying to throw the slant throws, they would rocket off a guy's arms or whatever. So he was, I think, overcompensating a lot at the Senior Bowl for that.
Okay. Yeah, so that's a guy I got my eye on. Like, say we get there on board, we're at the what is this, pick number 72, and we getting close to 72. I mean, we got 11 picks, trade up. We didn't get the quarterback. That's a guy I'd be looking at. I wouldn't have a problem with either, just because potentially, at the very least, I might have me a legit backup that I trust. I don't know. I just really want to go with a quarterback at some point, and I don't want to wait. All right, so Braden, it is on you. We're gonna give you some time if you need it. Now you can tell
John. Can you go to linebackers?
Yeah, quarterback.
Okay, this is not going to be I almost don't want to go him just because based off this board, he's not even close to value here. Joe Giles-Harris is somebody who's currently tied for my linebacker too. He's the guy linebacker from Duke. This guy is extremely smart. He's pointing out plays. He's a leader on a defense that isn't very good. He's probably one of the few linebackers in this draft class that can actually get off blocks. He's not super rangy, but he's athletic enough where he's really good in zone, really good in man. He's reading plays. He's very good at getting off blocks. I also like Jermaine Pratt here a lot. He had some great man coverage. I know he was really popular at the Senior Bowl.
He was.
His hips are kind of a concern. Zim, I know we talked about this like a week ago, but when I also watch him, I also see him do a good job initially opening them up in man coverage. He's a former safety, so he's still very, very raw in the linebacker. He's a bit of a project, but this dude has a lot of upside, and as he's gotten more comfortable with the linebacking position, he's gotten better. His mental processing has gotten better. So I'm going to go Jermaine Pratt here. Okay. He's a high upside guy that I think can work out just based off the limited college film we saw.
Okay. You know what's so crazy though? If the draft ended up like what you've done right now, and your guy in the first, could you say if he's any bit of an upgrade over Bobby Hart, and then you get the value of that third round linebacker right there, and then we're going to talk about free agency a little bit at the end of this. That is a draft that I could get behind. It might not be the greatest one for the fans or whatever, but that is a draft that is shaking up to be something really special. Was that your pick?
Yeah, I'm going to go Jermaine Pratt.
Yeah, he was an absolute animal at the Senior Bowl, I heard. Now, if you guys are watching at home, John Sheeran, he's with the Cincy Jungle. He covered a lot of stuff. If you guys want to get any information on the Senior Bowl, some of these prospects or just great articles, whatever, make sure you guys follow him too. But he was there firsthand, and that's when I first. Well, the backstory on this, so I went to NC State, so a lot of these guys, I'm still kind of like my friends are friends with different guys like that. So I kept on hearing about him even beforehand. But after he went to Senior Bowl, his name just super blew up. Is there anything that you want to say about Pratt or anybody else that you just saw on the board?
You talking to me or you talking to Braden?
Talking to John.
All right. Yeah, I like Pratt a lot as well. I think he measured in the same technology that measured the Will Greer's throws. It measured Pratt at like 21 miles an hour, I believe, on like the last practice. So I think he's going to test very well at the combine. I also like Giles-Harris a lot too. I think I agree with Braden as well. I think he's probably better than the 153rd player on this board. I think he's probably going to go somewhere around day 2, maybe early day 3. But both guys were productive, at least in 1 year in college. They got that going for them. Athleticism. And Pratt, he was a converted safety, but he ended up making a lot of calls at the Senior Bowl. They trusted him making some adjustments at the line of scrimmage. I think he's going to end up being, probably a Mike linebacker, but he's going to be on the field for 3 downs. So, in my scenario, when I didn't address a linebacker in the second round, Pratt is one of the guys that I'd be looking for here. If not him, I know a lot of people are high on Vosean Joseph. In Florida scheme, he was haven't really watched a ton of him yet, but he was also decently productive, a downhill guy. Other than that, looking at who's available, probably I would personally go linebacker here because that's just how my scenario ended up going. Because we already selected a linebacker, I might be looking towards offensive tackle. And my guy that I would probably go here is Titus Howard, another Senior Bowl guy. He's actually a former quarterback who gained a lot of weight. He's up, I think, around 320 pounds, near 35-inch arms. But the first tape I watched with him was against Auburn, and he looked like he belonged. And again, he went to Alabama State, so they got rocked in that game. But he held his own up against, the legitimate Power 5 SEC competition. Preferably, and then we'll talk about free agency later, I would prefer to sign a free agent starter at right tackle and have a guy like Howard drafted, in the 3rd round, sit behind him and Glenn, kind of groomed to take over for either of those spots because I don't think he's quite ready yet. I think he's got some issues with his feet and hands and getting them synced up, but I think he's got the necessary tools that the baseline tools, at least, that you can build up to be a successful offensive tackle. And I think it's going to be a lot on Jim Turner, the new offensive line coach, to develop the guys that Alexander couldn't and that Frank Pollock didn't really get the chance to because he's only here for 1 year. So, in my scenario, I would go linebacker, but in this scenario, I guess that we're doing right now, I would go Titus Howard.
All right, Ace.
I think this is finally going to be the round where I think all of us have different picks. One thing that I will say, though, is obviously I've taken 2 defensive players twice in a row, back-to-back rounds. I do feel like offensive line is a weakness on this team. However, I'm one of the few that actually believe that it actually improved from 2 years ago to last season. And because of that, I'm putting all my chips on the Bengals trying to solve that right tackle issue in free agency. Given what's on the board right now, I wasn't comfortable in the first and second.
The tackles. Let us see the tackles. But go ahead.
I'm not going to go tackle, and that's probably going to shock a lot of people. I'm not going the offensive line because I looked what I saw out there, and I didn't really like it. There wasn't anyone that I saw that could initially step in from day one. So what I'm gonna gamble on is we're gonna probably lose Darqueze Dennard in free agency. I don't want to say that, but I think that that's what's gonna happen. And because of the NFL being a passing league, if he leaves, that's gonna leave a huge hole for us in the secondary. And so with that, I'm looking at the value there, and I'm gonna have to take Rock Ya-Sin at a Temple as my corner. He's a guy that's pretty good in pass coverage. He's really good with press coverage as well. So with that being said, I can't trust Darius Phillips to come in immediately next year, and I need to add some more value to that spot. So I'm going to go with him at a Temple.
All right. Rockets.
Great name. First round name. Easily.
Okay. All right. John, go. All right. So you got on all. God damn it. All right.
I took your guy.
Now I'm just looking at like me for real because all right, I went defense as well. Let me see the wide receivers real quick.
Yeah. Oh, one more thing I want to say is the reason I went defense. Our defense was last in the league last year, 32nd ranked. We got to do better than that.
We can only do better than that, actually.
Exactly.
All right.
1,500 yards.
All right.
Yeah.
Can I see the guards?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's getting kind of low. It's getting kind of low out there.
I like those Oklahoma guys.
All right, now click all again, please.
Tick.
It's ticking on me. Okay.
Whoever's behind this is gonna run up to the podium.
I know. Me like that. Come on. See, the guy Joseph, I kind of do like him a little bit, but I just went linebacker.
Hey, we could use another one. I mean, at one point we were starting. You just said his name earlier, strictly because of nepotism.
Hardy Nickerson.
Hardy Nickerson.
I'm about to throw a wrench in everything. I'm gonna go Tyree Jackson.
Let's get it.
We're gonna go Tyree. I'm gonna go for like.
All right.
I'm just thinking something miraculous is gonna happen. And Bengals we got a defense in the first 2 rounds. I like the upside. I like the it's a lot of different things from his game I like, but the footwork. We were talking about big quarterbacks earlier or whatever, which I don't care if they're big or not, but I feel like he adjusted a lot of times with his arm angles in some very, 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 very tough situations and got the ball down the field. I told y'all I needed a quarterback. I told y'all I needed this transition to happen. If I'm going to do it, it's got to be between round 1 and 3. And the guys that are ahead of him currently right now, like I said, there are some scenarios where I saw Will Greer in that spot. But I would probably take him if he was there. But I'm not going to go safe. I'm going to go boomer bust with Tyree Jackson. That's my round 3.
Like it.
So what the hell are we doing here?
So
that's the dilemma right there.
We got somebody in the chat that said Lonnie Johnson.
I really wanted David Edwards, and at first I was like, all right, I'm going to get David Edwards, and then I guess I looked away, and then he got drafted by Jacksonville, so I was like, gotta go defense again.
It's right there.
So Bradbury went right before.
Yeah. Damn Bucks.
I just peeped that. Yeah. Remember, let me see the guards on there. Yeah. So John, you can pick. Let's go with your.
We're gonna tie this hard. We want to get a tackle.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna take a tackle. So that's more realistic.
John was there to witness them firsthand. I've been witnessing these guys firsthand, so I'm gonna go with John on this one. I asked some people in the chat. I said, "Who you guys like?" The kid Lonnie Johnson from Kentucky, I think. I saw a couple games from him. I don't know enough for me to say I want to pull the trigger there, but I will tell you this: I do want leverage, and I think one thing that the Bengals don't do is renegotiate contracts. Drake Kirkpatrick's contract should absolutely be renegotiated. I don't like Dark as much as people that follow me know that I love Darqueze Dennard's tackling ability. But one thing that's happening is I'm looking at the market. I'm looking at the slot corners currently because it's apparent to me he's never going to be on the outside. Earlier in his career, I always thought that he could probably play on the outside because he was really, really good at jamming people on the outside level. But as he started to, I guess, form into what he is now, I saw that my dream of him being on the outside.
He's never had the ball skills.
Never had the ball skill. And see, the thing is, Dre is always in the spot where he needs to be, but he never had the arm length. So, which is pretty much useless. But with that, I'm not re-signing Darqueze Dennard, so I'm absolutely looking at a corner in that spot. And the guys that we currently have now, I have no faith in Kavari to get it done. I don't even know if he's a free agent for us right now anyway. I don't want Dennard. Does anyone know what's it's 2 slot corners that we aren't going to be able to afford. The 2 top ones in free agency. One's I think is with the Falcons. The other one's with I had it written down on this other thing. But anyway, I want to get a corner pretty early. Bengals love corners. This would probably be the round that I wouldn't let it go past right there. So I wouldn't be opposed to the corner right there either, because just setting ourselves up for the new Who Day or New Day or whatever. Dre Kirkpatrick absolutely has to figure out something with his contract, and even if he doesn't, I think they're going to cut him after this year anyway.
Yeah.
Oh damn.
Yeah, I think he's definitely in
money is
territory for sure. I think in a weird way, I think because remember, like Marvin Lewis had to talk Darqueze Dennard into playing the slot corner. I think in his head, he still thinks he can play outside, and I think we're going to see a similar situation to what happened with Marvin Jones, where he wants to go somewhere where he can actually have an opportunity to play on the outside as a corner. So I think that might be one of the reasons we actually lose him.
That's a good point. Yeah, looking at Tavon Young's contract from Baltimore, that's probably like the baseline. It's like 3 years, $8.5 million. I think
that happened like last week, right?
Yeah. Like I think that was always going to be what it was, and then it just kind of confirmed. So for me, like I would try to offer him somewhat similar to that, just to keep him around. But if he wants to go for someone more, I would basically give my best. But I'm moving on at that point.
Okay. All right. So now we are in the 4th round here. This is our last pick tonight, guys. This is pick number 110. Braden, you are on the clock. We're way more on you now.
All right. There's somebody who I see that kind of pops off the board. That's Chris Boyd, the corner from Texas. He's a guy who I was looking at very early in the process, who I was very intrigued by. He's somebody who I thought was going to go round 2, but he got I believe he got injured or something, but something made his draft stock fell. I feel round 4, he'd be a steal. He would provide a good depth. He's not the slot corner we're looking for, but I'm looking at his best player available depth. And also, Kirk has had some injuries. Wouldn't say issues, but he has gotten banged up at times. Left games kind of left us in a hole. I feel like he could be a great backup early on and could develop into a starter.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Chris Boyd, Texas. Hey, I didn't write this. I was trying to write this down on my board. Brayden, who did you pick your last round?
Jermaine Pratt.
And John, who did you pick last round?
I also went Pratt.
Okay. So did we pick that on our draft here? You picked Pratt when we did round 3 just now?
Yeah.
Didn't he go an offensive tackle?
Well, we all went offensive. Like going off like what I would have done. I would have went linebacker, but going off like what actually happened, I supported tackle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, John, you're on the clock. Oh, I see your guy right now.
I see your guy right here. Tyree's still there, and honestly, he's kind of pretty tempting because the position that I'm thinking about the most is tight end right now, and I'm looking at Nada, not productive, but athletic. Oliver and Wilson are both productive. Drew Sample was like my favorite tight end at the Senior Bowl just because of how he blocked. And looking again, going back to the type of offense we could be seeing from the Rams, you're going to need tight ends who can end up getting those angle blocks on those wide edge rushers. So I think he's a guy that I would look for maybe a little bit later here. So maybe the value is not quite here for tight end yet. And honestly, man, Zim, like I'm looking at the quarterback room right now. I'm a lot lower, I think, on Tyree than most. I think he's Josh Allen with like a little less of the fun and not as much upside. But like that's strictly from like a data and a production standpoint. I still think his arm is very lively. But honestly, when you're talking about drafting the quarterback beyond like the 2nd or 3rd round, odds of them becoming starters is pretty unlikely. So yeah, like if you have Tyree to just have there to see what you can get for him, if he has to come in to play for a pinch and give you a little bit of spark, that's great. But honestly, for these guys, hopefully you can develop Tyree into something that maybe you could trade for in the future. If he becomes your long-term starter, I have my doubts about his longevity there and how long he could end up lasting. Yeah. But honestly, just looking at like who else is here and where I've went with this draft and what the positions that I've already addressed, I think it's got to be Tyree for me.
Yeah, Tyree. That's surprising. I thought you would. I didn't get that caught me on guard. I didn't think you would say him. Like, I mean, it makes me look. I know this is a fake mock, but I mean, like, God, I don't know. Like, I picked him, like, and I just reached.
All right. It's on your homework, man. All right. So who's next? Ace?
Man, I have to take an offensive lineman at this point, man. It's just gotten kind of out of control at this point. Let's see. I think I'm going to go with I do not know how to say this guy's name. I think I'm probably going to win the award for creative names tonight. Bo Ben Swazzle.
Oh, whiskey.
I'm going to go ahead and take him here and see what we can do with him. Seems like he's a guy that's excellent in the run game. Definitely needs some work in the passing game. So I'm going to roll the dice here and just take an offensive lineman. I'll take him.
All right. So with that, all right. So the person I had, I think is still going to be here. Now, I do want to point this out, too. Braden, Chris Boyd is still on the clock. And I thought about him after you said it or whatever, but the guy that I was looking at all this time is go to corners really quick.
Yeah.
This is a guy I think is still going to be there. Hold up, Sheffield's not there?
Did he get drafted?
I believe he went.
Dan McVay.
Hey! All right. So I was always thinking corner. I was like, shit. Now, Andy Isabella is enticing to me too, but we already got a John Ross on our team. But I feel like, because when I'm looking at the wide receiver room, right? Yeah, it's just like somebody. I always try to say how do they compare to the Rams, and I'm just looking at it like I don't like Cody Core. You know, Isabella is an option for me, wide receiver. I thought Kendall Sheffield was going to be there, but I got to go fourth. Yeah, I'm going to go. I've only seen a highlight tape of Chris Boyd. The only guy on this list I've actually gone to their fucking thing was Sean Bunton. And that's because this guy knows what Central Medicine is. I'm going to go Alabama and go Savion. I just remember him making some plays in the title game.
Sorry, who?
Savion Smith.
Oh, there we go.
Or Savon Smith. So that's my pick. But I had to go corner.
Yeah.
All right, so that's our mock.
So who are you taking then?
I don't know. Do we all agree on one person at all? No, everybody wants something different. Okay. You went Tyree, and in this round, I went Tyree last round.
Tyree, then I think is what it has to be, right?
I think it has to because that's the only player that we both picked.
But like I made the pick last round, so I feel like someone else should have the opportunity to make it this round then.
Well, I mean, yeah. Okay.
Unless you are you just going to Tyree?
It doesn't matter, man.
Yeah, Tyree's good with me.
Because really, what I'm doing is writing out all your picks on here anyway, like on the side. So you're going to get your draft.
Mm.
This is just so you can see the people. You're going to get your picks. You best believe. So, Ace, who did you go round 3 with?
Round 3, I went with Rock Ya-Sin, corner.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Okay. I'm going to post this on my page tomorrow, too. And then round 4, who'd you go?
I'm going to get murdered because I didn't pick an offensive tackle. I can already tell.
I didn't either.
Who was your 4th round pick, Ace?
I picked a guard from Wisconsin. Hold on.
Bo B word.
Let's see. His name was Bo Ben Swazzle.
Bo Ben Swazzle. I was just about to say Bo Derek. All right. All right, so with that said, all right, so Ace, you went first round Ed Oliver, second round Matt Wilson, round 3 Rocky Sin, round 4 Bo. Braden, round 1 you went Ed Oliver, round 2 Kajuse, round 3 Jermaine Pratt, round 4 Chris Boyd, the corner from Texas. John, first round you went Ed Oliver, second round you went Bradbury, the center. Round 3 you went Jermaine Pratt as well, linebacker. Round 4 you went Tyree Jackson because you know that he's lit. So you round 1 I went Ed Oliver. Round 2 I went Matt Wilson. Round 3 I bit the apple that I probably shouldn't have because he probably won't go until round 5 in real time. But Tyree Jackson in round 3 just because I was so eager for a quarterback.
Go get your guys in. Never
I gotta get my guy. I gotta trust. You gotta trust the guys. Round 4, Savion Smith, the corner from Alabama, who gets a lot of flack, and I don't know. I just needed some depth. All right. So with that said, I want to just close out everything tonight. I'm gonna post all the rounds and everything tomorrow. Steve in the thing said who was our first round draft pick. It was Ed Oliver across the board. Guy broke the rule, said he would have took Benny Snell in the 4th. Was he on the board? His name.
He might still be available now. No, he got taken somewhere. Let's see.
Somebody said Benny Snell.
Yeah, he went to the Panthers right after us.
Right after us. Oh, wow. He was available.
Hank Boats and Hose, Jennings. Excellent name, dude. I really like that name because nothing is better than boats and hose. He said he should have gone Lil Jordan. Who's Lil Jordan?
Lil Jordan Humphrey, I think.
Texas wide receiver.
Yeah.
He's like 6'5", not very little.
Okay. And then afterwards, he saw a pic. He said, "Damn, that's pretty nice." So, any guy that likes boats and hoes agreeing with our mock is that me. All right, so closing it out, Braden. Just going really quick. Your picks were Ed Oliver, Kajuse, Jermaine Pratt, Chris Boyd. Give me a couple names that you would be thinking about in free agency, based on
free agency. I'm still trying to sign a linebacker, maybe a guy like KJ Wright, because in my opinion, we need to sign a linebacker and draft one because we just can't have Burfict. He's not worth it at this point. And you can get a veteran, the guy to help a very well guy like Jermaine Pratt. That would be huge. And ideally, in my ideal offseason, we signed a free agent right tackle, but since we haven't yet, and could you say someone who I'm high on more than most people, I'm willing to jump on that. But I'm hoping we sign the right tackle. I'm hoping we get a veteran linebacker, and so when we do draft a young linebacker, no matter who that is, Devin White, Mac Wilson, Jermaine Pratt, he could really help him take that next step and develop early on.
Sweet. All right. So KJ is your number one person you're probably looking at. Let me ask you, would you re-sign Burfict? Would you cut Burfict?
I would do it before free agency even starts. I would get the cap money because get the cap money, you use that. I just don't think Burfict's worth it. I don't see why you even want to even waste the time with it. Give him the fair opportunity to a new team. But I love Burfict. I've defended him for a long time. But at this point, the past couple of years, I think he's declining. And with the drama and the extra dirty hits, it's just not worth it.
Sweet. Okay. All right, John. Who are you looking at free agency?
Yeah, so if your biggest two needs are offensive tackle and linebacker, you should probably address both of them in free agency. At tackle, I'm with Ace. I think Jawan James is a good target to get in that 8 to 10 million range. That's money that you save from cutting Burfict. That's money that you save from potentially letting Darkwood and our go. They have 50-something million in cap space right now. They're going to be able to spend at least 20, I would say, on just external guys alone. Yeah, James is probably my guy in terms of like the guy that can come in and start for a couple years. At linebacker, I grew up in Westchester, Ohio. I went to high school at Lakota West. A graduate of that high school is Jordan Hicks. The current Eagles linebacker right now is also free agent. I think He's going to be somewhere in that 6 to 7, maybe 8 mil area for like 3 or 4 years or whatever.
Burfict gives us back if we cut Burfict, that gives us back 6 though, right?
Exactly. So
okay,
cutting our losses with Burfict, he's just not it anymore. Hicks has injury history. That's understandable, but when he's healthy, he's very good. So maybe lower on the guaranteed side, but I think you need 2 starters on multi-year deals at both those positions, so you don't go into the draft saying we got to get Devin White in the first round, or we got to get Jonah Williams in the first round, or we have to get one of those 2 picks in the first round, because for starters, you can draft, your biggest needs outside of the first round or even the second round. But just for once, they don't need to be pigeonholed into drafting the biggest needs early, so you can end up going comfortably with Ed Oliver in the first round or a center in Bradbury in the second round. That was kind of my whole vision with this. So those 2 guys at multi-year deals in total, just in this year alone, probably spend about 12 to 13 in your cap room for both those guys, because you have backloaded contracts and how that's structured. So those are my 2 guys that I would look for.
All right. And Ace, who you got?
I would say Jawan James. I think, I would love to add a linebacker as well, or someone else in free agency, but that's the guy that I'm targeting, and that's kind of what I base my draft off of. I think, Zim, you talked about this point earlier. I don't really trust rookie offensive linemen, and I don't know if it's because we've been burnt with the Cedric O'Grady's and the Jake Fishers of the world, but I'd rather have, a safe bet. If I'm going to invest in a position, I'd rather it be a guy with the resume of a Jawan James. I think it's also a high possibility that it actually may happen, just because it seems like everybody that Zach Taylor has put on his staff is from Miami. So they have to have this guy on their radar. But I would like to go there if we're going offensive tackle, and I think that would be the best solution in terms of that. With my draft, I feel like I just tried to go with best player available, and even though it was best player available, is also kind of, in my opinion, like some need. So Ed Oliver on the defensive line, you're having a defensive line last year that was surprisingly, to me, kind of took a step back, especially after we saw the emergence of Carl Lawson his rookie year. We added Sam Hubbard, but essentially we still didn't have that guy that was essentially a solid person behind Carlos Dunlap and Geno Atkins. And I think that Ed Oliver can possibly be that guy rather than taking a guy in the 3rd or 4th round. So I went Ed Oliver there, and then Mac Wilson at the linebacker spot. Not just a linebacker, but a linebacker that can play decent in coverage, because obviously we got burned for the past 5 to 6 years in that area. Depending on what they do with Burfict, it's going to be tough to say, because Burfict always gets into these spots where he's like questionable to return. Like before, it was when he was about to get his extension. And I noticed a pattern with him. Every time he gets to that point, he gets in amazing shape and tries to come back and have a good.
You seen him on Instagram?
He's been posting a ton of workout
because he did the same thing 2 years ago. Got in amazing shape, was like tagging AJ Green, and then the next year he like shows up like overweight and like it's just
after he got paid. After he got paid.
So I think he knows that his job is on the line. But I've said on my channel for a while, I think with Zach Taylor coming in, I'm not sure how his personality is actually going to mesh with Burfict, because Marvin Lewis was like a Burfict guy. He kind of looked at him as a son. So if they do move on from Burfict, even if they keep Burfict, either way, you gotta address the linebacker. I mean, you don't have anything there, so that's why I took him. And then the corner spot, I just really feel like Darqueze Dennard is going to leave, so I would go there in terms of that.
And the crazy thing about the Dennard thing, throughout the year, we would be watching games and he'd be making tackles. I'm like, you guys better. They should have offered him the year before, but now that he's going to hit the market, I just don't see a reason to do it.
And it kind of sucks, because the secondary, according to Pro Football Focus, was like our strong point last year. So him leaving there, you have a guy like Kavari Russell, Darius Phillips. You kind of have a question mark there.
Your secondary always looks good when your linebackers are targeted 20 times a game.
That's very true. I'm just looking for a guy that will not even get an interception, just break up a pass that's going to a tight end, or somebody over the middle. Just that.
I think in all scenarios, I think we're all thinking almost like part ways with Burfict and then I'll free up the cash. So I'm saying my free agents with the on the premise of I think Burfict's gone, or they make that move beforehand. Jawan James is my number one free agent I had listed. Period. That's the only guy that I think we would pay over, like what we normally would pay, I guess, for a guy is that. And I still have him somewhere around the 9 to 11 million mark. I think Cordy Glenn gets 11.75 or something like that per year. So we just got two good right tackle and a left tackle, and we're ready to go. Then also after that, my next one will be Eifert. I want to bring him back on a deal that's very similar to what he got this past year. If it's incentive based or whatever, I think they were going to be. He could get paid up to as much as 5 point whatever because he got injured where he got injured. I think he ended up only getting paid like between 2 and 3 is what I'm told. Somewhere around there. I have to check on that with my accountant John here. But at the point, so Eifert, the only other guy that I was looking at in that tight end thing, because I'm assuming that they're going to draft someone. You're still going to have Mason Schreck. I also targeted Clay, which is really, really the only Charles Clay. And the only reason why it kind of is disheartening to me is because he was there to be had during the season. If they would have just pulled any type of trigger, and then they would have had him for it just would have been to the end of the year. But at the time or whatever, I felt as though they could get him in place, get him for super, super low with one of these extra draft picks because they were just out there with the for sale for fire. Like they were just having a fire sale on him. So it was like you would have gave up dirt to get him, at least get him in the building. Maybe might help you in your negotiations, and you do another incentive-based deal with him coming up. Other than that, I do want to sign Preston Brown again. Only for another incentive-based contract as well. I just think like he's normally healthy, and this past year he wasn't. But if he can give me some quality snaps on second, I like him. Another guy that I'm looking at is just because of veteran leadership is Thomas Davis. You lost Vinny Ray probably. He's old, I know, but
Carlos Dansby route.
It's the route that they normally, I guess, would take with a guy. Now, they usually probably get a guy about 28, 29 or something like that.
No, they usually
Dansby was
old, washed up dudes.
Well, lately, oh yeah.
Like Preston Brown was like the
how old was what's the kid that went to LA? How old was Minter?
Minter was 27, like but he moved like he was 37.
Okay. Yeah, I'm saying Thomas Davis on the strength of just getting a veteran leader in the locker room, first, second down. I don't know.
I do think he would be better than Carlos Dansby though.
He's at the bottom of my list, I guess. In the big splash one I have, I guess is because the defensive coordinator is Landon Collins. Even though that is probably the strongest part of our room that we have is the safety position to me or whatever. I've always liked Sean Williams, even when he got a bad rap, because he has a knack for making big plays at big times. Like when you look at some of those Steelers games that we lost or whatever, he always makes these big plays there. He had 5 interceptions this past year. I like him. The safety room is really, really strong to me. But one thing about me is always like that I've always been a big proponent on everything I've done with my Zenhude page is just because you have people there doesn't mean you can't stack up that room and get it like crazy. And if Nick Collins was added to that room, now the pressure is it's taken off of a lot of this pressure to get a linebacker. And I think with 56 or 60% of his snaps, he actually lined up as a linebacker this past year.
Yeah,
I'm the defensive coordinator. I figure out a way to get him on the field at the same time as Sean Williams. He can cover tight ends.
Let me ask you this, Zim. Just playing devil's advocate. Would you cut Sean Williams to sign Landon Collins?
No.
I would. I think he's like way better than Sean Williams, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't know. It's not that I'm falling. I'm not trying to stay complacent or anything like that, or going with familiarity, whatever. Right. But I just think that money, the value for Sean Williams is far greater than what you'll ever get for Landon Collins. Because
but let me ask you this: like, if Landon Collins was like, "I'll take the same exact money,"
Oh,
Williams.
yeah. I go Landon Collins.
He's gonna want pennies. You're paying Landon Collins like $5 million a year. Oof.
I'm about to say Sean Williams only gets like 4.6 or something like that.
Yeah, he's like the Clint Bowling of safety contracts.
It could be like maybe a 1 year prove it deal or something like that. I don't know. He seems like he wants to play for that, that's just crazy. Like hearing somebody of the magnitude of Landon Collins like wanting to play for the Bengals just because we just hired like his former secondary coach. That was just kind of crazy.
Yeah, but that's something that I feel will make us elite, gives us a versatility. I really would like that. I think that's so far fetched.
Yeah, I think it's probably not happening.
Now, this is one thing I wanted to say to y'all too. One thing before this draft, before we just went over all the time that I thought we could. Would you trade your first round pick for Odell Beckham Jr.? Ooh. The number 11 pick for Odell.
I mean, Odell is amazing, but I'm just thinking about it from a perspective that if you make that move, like you're probably not re-signing AJ Green in 2 years.
I don't know. I mean, AJ's turning what, 30, coming up on 30.
If you make that move, you definitely are losing either Tyler Boyd or AJ Green, which I think Odell Beckham Jr. at this point is better than them, but I think he's probably going to cost more than them as well. Plus, like Odell Beckham in Cincinnati, like just look what he's doing in New York. Like, imagine if he was playing for Mike Brown and we like.
And you said it like Mike Brown's about to just bring out a paddle and just spank because you're just like, no, this shit doesn't work out here. You know what's so crazy? Because of our coach and stuff like that, and I think you got to. If y'all ever seen like Rams behind the scenes practices and shit, they were having like YG, people like that. I think Zach might not be like, like that lit that he's gonna let all that go down, but the personalities of a lot of our players are about to come out a little bit more than what they were before. So we're gonna be a little bit more vocal. I don't think Mike Brown is really like this hard ass guy like that. I think he really like leans on coaches for real.
You guys are talking about Mike Brown. Like I love Odell as a person. I don't want him going from Eli Manning to Andy Dalton personally. So I'm not gonna put that on him.
True.
But yeah. Like I think he's averaging his cap hits like about 2019. So presumably you're probably signing Tyler Boyd to, I don't even know, like 9 to 11 mil. I would assume for an extension. Green's getting paid about 15 right now. I don't even know how much more you would pay him for a third contract, but maybe Odell would be even cheaper than both those guys. And I do agree with A's that he's probably the top 3 receiver in the league, and probably Green's just on the outside of that at this moment. I wouldn't do it, but I definitely see the logic in it. And if for someone who needs a receiver, he's definitely absolutely worth a first round pick. If Amari Cooper can get a first round pick, Odell Beckham can definitely get it as well.
Definitely.
Okay. Well, let's wrap it up with that, man. I feel like this was really successful. I really, really appreciate you guys so much. If you guys somebody say I go to West. They should read Press Brown. I was just reading a couple of different things. Another guy said Gaskin if you're looking for running back. Diddy 622585 said Mac Wilson or Devin Bush was to have in round 2. I think I read that one that said Benny Snell in the 4th. But thank you everybody for checking us out. Thank you for all the people that are in the chat. Got a couple people in here now. We got like 10 in here now. But throughout this whole thing, we went an hour and a half, a little bit more than what I thought. But I think we covered over everything I think that I intended to, I guess. I'm going to post the mock on my Instagram tomorrow as Zim_Hude. I got Ace Boogie. Ace, tell them where they can find you. Tell them where they need to see you at. And tell them what you're working on right now moving forward.
You guys can find me at New Stripe City on YouTube. I'm also on Twitter at New Stripe City. I'll be working on Prime pretty soon. That's basically putting together a draft board based on some of the tendencies that Duke Tobin has shown over the years. I'll be putting that together real soon. And of course, any like news and updates I'll be posting as well.
All right. And John?
Twitter, John _Sheeran. Cincy Jungle has been swamped with coaching news for the past 2 months, but hopefully with the defensive line linebacker coach hired hopefully soon, we'll transition fully into draft season. I'll bring together a lot of draft reports for you guys, and I'll be posting on them.
Sweet. All right, and Braden.
You guys can follow me on Instagram, Bengals_NFL. I'm also on Twitter, Bengals_action. Not as active there. You can also check out some of my writings on BengalsInsiders.com. Currently working on my perfect offseason, also working on a lot of linebacker scouting reports.
Cool. And I'm Zim_Hude on Instagram. It's just ZimHude on Twitter. But check me out on there. I just go with the flow with most of my stuff. I'm working on a couple different things, but continue to support us. Continue to keep on checking out all these guys' stuff because I picked these guys because they have the best input throughout all of our Bengals struggles, ups and downs, and all these different things. And we all can relate. And I'm so glad that you came and checked us out tonight. I'm so glad you guys came on here to this live. I'm going to have this link up here, and I'll be able to post it and put it in there on Instagram. I'll show clips of this from Instagram too. Then we're also going to show the mock tomorrow where I go through all of our picks. And maybe I'll do like a small write-up or something like that. But thanks for your time, guys. Who day?
Who day?
Who day?